All right, guys, we're here with Josh Hurley, driver of the APR Race Watches, Fortis. What's the other
Perfect
one?
pedal.
Perfect Pedal. Audi in the Continental Tire Series, among other things. Welcome to Oversteer TV.
Thanks for having me again, guys. Pleasure
Oh,
to be on.
yeah, well, actually, welcome back. Yeah. Been a busy season for you. Continental Tire Series Championship is over. Um, I don't know if I want to bring up that last race.
Actually, we really should because there was a lot of good out of it that nobody really got to see.
Tell us.
Actually, in practice, we debuted a brand new Audi S4, unlike our old one. A lot of advancements in it, and in practice, we were consistently in the top two or three. The car is now really, 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 really fast. We just had a very simple and very cheap part break on lap one of the race. We came in, we fixed it. Unfortunately, we lost 4 laps in the process of fixing it. Then we sent my co-driver back out there, and the car was still really fast, but we parked it because one of my teammates is going to race that also at World Challenge in Road Atlanta in a few weeks in another class. So the car is now ready. Hopefully, we'll be back in that for next year and having an assault on the GS Championship. The car is really, really good now, and on top of it, it's really, really loud in a good way. So that's a little bonus.
Well, this year, the Continental Tires Challenge Series, they put you in the Audi. They moved you. I don't know if they moved it up. That car apparently needed a lot of work, a lot of development. So I guess you're not happy with the actual results for the season.
Exactly, and I did get to do one good race in the VW where we got to have second. I mean, some of it was playing some team games, but that's part of being a professional driver. Sometimes you're not going to have a year, but as a driver, there's a lot to take away. And then I got to develop a car, and now the car is ready for the championship. And now I'm getting thrown a bone. The team is going to let me go out there and really go win a race. We're going to run a World Challenge in a week, almost a week from today. I got to be at the track
Hmm.
and with the Volkswagen at Road Atlanta at Petit Le Mans with all the crowd there, and really looking forward to that. Rules package is pretty good for the Volkswagens, we think, so should be a lot of fun.
Well, I'll be up there for that also, so we'll be rooting you on. Um, Before we get into your what's in the future for you, the Continental Tire Series itself. It's one of my favorite series because, I mean, they get 50, 60 cars on the track at one time in two different
71 this
classes.
race.
71. Wow. The whole thing is we've been hearing a lot of rumors. What have you heard about all these cars going to be coming into the Continental Tire Series for next year? I've been hearing everything from Audi to Aston Martin to, I mean, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
the Aston is there's got to be some truth in it. I remember at New Jersey, I was wandering around the paddock just saying hello to everybody, and I'm not sure if you guys know who George Howard Chappell is, but he is Aston Martin Racing's number one. He's their version of Dr. Ulrich or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So he was wandering the paddock, and he was definitely asking around. And the reason they're looking so much at Continental is that the ratings are higher than actually the Rolex series.
Hmm.
So they want to go after the ratings. I think the only issue they're going to have is I don't think they make a car that's inexpensive enough for a team to build and turn into a race car in Continental.
Yeah, because that's one of the things about Continental. It is for nothing's cheap in racing, especially in professional racing. But Continental Tire Series probably has to be one of the least expensive series out there, especially like in the ST class where it's practically street cars.
Exactly.
What about some of the other manufacturers? Audi, I've heard the R8 coming there.
That's I can neither confirm nor deny how much I know about that one. Let's just read into my face and I think yeah, how much
uh,
we know about that.
so next year I'll be expecting to see you in the R8.
I wouldn't quite go that far. Maybe for a race or two, we hope. I definitely know where they will be, though.
Well, I'll give Dr. Ulrich a call. Put it as a good word for you. Um, you mentioned something that the Tonneau Tire Series gets better ratings. I can understand that how the Grand Am, the Rolex Series is live on speed, and it's usually up against other racing, where Continental Tire Series is unfortunately in a way it's tape delayed, and you can tell everybody to watch it. It's like on a Friday afternoon or something like that.
They try to get weekend prime time at least, which is good.
Mhm. What do you think of the Continental Tire Series? Is that a series to stick with, or is it for you, or is it going to be a still like a stepping stone to move something bigger and better?
I think it's both. It's a stepping stone to go do some GT, to go do some prototype racing,
Hmm.
but there's no reason to leave it either. You look at guys like Guy Cosmo running in ALMS. He
Hmm.
did almost the whole season. He did every race that didn't conflict with ALMS. He did in
Hmm.
Continental Tire. And you see a lot of that. Joey Hand, Bill Auberlin. We have all these guys running Continental Tire. There's no reason to leave. The racing's great. There's factory money there. More's pouring in. I mean, GM seems to be stepping up their efforts with the Camaro.
Hmm.
Ford's stepping up their efforts with the Mustang. I hear talk of a GM ST car. I know a Ford ST car exists. The new Focus is going to be an ST car, and somebody might be running it. I don't know quite who. I have my ear to the ground on that. So there's a lot of cool things going on through that series. Kia's throwing a lot of money in. Nissan's throwing a lot of money in now. So the series is growing and it's getting bigger. And the value for the dollar that the manufacturer gets out of Continental seems to be a little higher than Rolex. So I think that's going to be a good place to be because they can spend a reasonable amount of money for a manufacturer and get a lot of exposure racing the car that people identify with.
Hmm.
For Rolex, it's the Halo car, and maybe the premier manufacturers can get something out of that, but it doesn't seem as beneficial for them.
And also, when you think about bang for the buck, Continental Tire Series usually runs the same weekend on the same track as the Rolex Series, so you got the same crowd there and everything. So if you can do it
Exactly.
cheaper in Continental and be in front of the same people, what's the point of moving up to the whole Rolex Series? Um, we look at a series like the Continental Series. In the United States, of course, they screw everything up. We got the American Le Mans Series, we have the Rolex Series, we have the Continental Tire Series, and everything. Do you ever see a day where people will put put aside their differences and maybe consolidate? Make it something where
Yeah.
we got the World Challenge also. Heck, they still drag out the thing they call the Trans Am still every once in a
Now
while.
that new unlimited whatever.
Oh yeah, that spec racing series. The cars look great, but we'll talk about that later. But do you ever see a day where you ever hear any? You always hear the rumors and stuff like that and everything. You ever see a day where they might get consolidated, a little less series, but more cars, more people be
I
involved with it?
I think the day is coming, and it's not going to be a very popular answer.
Mm.
I don't think ALMS is going to make it long term. I think the WEC is going to really hurt them badly. Because if you're already spending most of the money to run ALMS racing,
Hmm.
the travel budget to do WEC, while it is more, it's partially subsidized.
Hmm.
You get so much more of a bang for your buck to do the World Championship. I mean, it's a legitimate World Championship like Formula One.
Hmm.
I see a lot of the GT teams, which are the big main teams in ALMS, leaving to go do that. I see Level Five and Scott Tucker probably
Hmm.
going to leave and go do that.
Right.
Patrick Dempsey, all
Hmm.
of them are going to, and that just leaves. What does that leave ALMS with? It's not much. It leaves us with two big events
Hmm.
and a few cars. I guess Team Corvette will stay because it's funded by USA,
Hmm.
not GM Worldwide. It's funded by GM US.
Right.
So unfortunately, I see ALMS taking a hurting, and while NASCAR is not in the healthiest situation, NASCAR is definitely healthier than ALMS is right now.
Well, NASCAR's healthier than any other series in the United States, that's for sure. Um, One thing I want to point out to you is the LMS hasn't re-upped with the ACO with Le
Yeah,
Mans yet. All right, and there's a whole bunch of talk that go back to the '70s where you did have that World Championship, and then you had IMSA, and they were running pretty much the same cars, you know, and it was like a lot of American teams do that, and then do the occasional World Endurance Championship and stuff like that. It remains to be seen. I mean, I'm a big ALMS guy. I won't hide that fact. I like that series. Grand Am's making some changes with their prototypes. I've seen some of the photos.
it's better, not good.
Better. Yeah.
And the GT situation in Grand Am is getting much better. I
Uh,
think whoever's going to win is whoever abandons the prototypes. Actually, I think we need to have a series like the SRO does, GT3, just full GT3.
exactly. Then used to have the GT1, but that's pretty much a European Asian thing now. All right. So what's next up for you? You got the World Challenge in
We got World
Patine.
Challenge next week, so really excited about that. Should be a lot of fun. It's going to be the first time I've raced without a co-driver in 3 years. First time
Hmm.
I've qualified in a race in 2 years. So
Hmm.
that part's just going to be fun alone. A lot of friends in the series who are running for other cars, so it's going to be fun to go beat up on them a little bit.
Hmm.
and it's always fun to race with a crowd like at Petit Le Mans.
Of course, they get a huge crowd out there. So what else? What can we? We already talked about you're going to be driving a factory Audi R8 next year. What else is in? What else is looking for good for the future for Josh Hurley?
A lot of talk went on for Continental next year. We just came from the banquet. Actually, I just got back yesterday afternoon from Mid Ohio and big Continental banquet. We all know it's a good time to talk to team owners. Some loose lips, liberated by some alcohol there. You get to find out some interesting things. So had a few interesting talks about next year, or hopefully it'll be more Continental. Rolex is looking like a possibility, maybe in a GT car.
Hmm.
There's a interesting DP thing out there that's possible as well.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of new ST and GS teams looking like they're going to be forming.
Hmm.
A few possibly in our hometown, which are really really interesting. So that's a good possibility. It's silly season. There's more possibilities than not right
Oh,
now.
we're not talking about that Ferrari, are we?
No, though
Uh,
I heard some interesting things on that. The
well,
test day did not go well.
I saw the video. Uh,
Yes, but what they didn't show was the lap times, and they needed the sundial, not the stopwatch.
wow, wow. For you guys out there, they went in Daytona. They tested a Ferrari 458 to run in the Grand Am series with the Grand Am specs, and according to Josh, the times weren't that good. I saw some of the video; it didn't look like it was turning in very well at all.
Yeah, and it needs a lot of work. Apparently, Ferrari only half paid attention to the rule book when they built it. So they said we have a Grand Am ready car, and they brought it over,
Hmm.
and the team looked at it and said, "Well, half this stuff on here isn't legal." And Ferrari said, "Don't worry about it. It's only a few $100,000 to change."
well, well, if you want to race Ferrari and you have to ask how much it costs, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, but then when you have that and it's still not fast, that's a really bad blend.
So what else is coming up? Okay, I'm gonna throw this out at you. Grand Am, all the stuff and everything, DTM in 2013. What have
Yeah.
you heard about that?
It's actually been strangely silent on it. I haven't heard anything on it in months. I heard there was a huge build for it. A lot of people were talking about it, and then it just went dead in the last like 3 months. I still have a theory in that that's what the new DPs, for those you know, the new Daytona prototypes are coming.
Hmm.
New should be used in quotations. They're not exactly new. They're the same car. They just chop the roll cage around the driver compartment and make it a little narrower
Right.
and change the bodywork a little bit.
Hmm.
While not cheap, it's relatively low cost. I
Hmm.
have a feeling the reason we're seeing that as our new DP is that they're trying to delay until the DTM cars are ready. I think you're going to see a US DTM rollout for 1 year. Teams are going to run them in a couple sprint races just to get a feel for the cars. Then I bet you'll see the DTM integrate with DP. The rules packages for the new DTMs are actually very close to a Daytona prototype. Tube frame, 5-liter V8s, limited amounts of exotic materials. They're much more similar than they would appear.
Actually, wait. Actually, I was watching this thing with Gary Paffett, and they're describing the new Mercedes DTM for next year, and that's got a carbon fiber monocoque for the driver.
Sort of. It's got a carbon fiber monocoque inside of a tube frame.
Okay.
You have the tube frame for the actual
Right.
car, and then inside that they built a carbon safety cell. So that's really not the active chassis. That is just a tub for the driver to sit in, bolted to the chassis, bolted to the rest of the car, which would be really easy. It's not that inexpensive of an item. It's actually fairly cost controlled, even compared to a DP. So the philosophies are a lot more similar than what you would think.
Hmm.
And they'd be really easy to equalize, or at least close to. And what I actually think you would do, I think you would see Grand Am want the DTMs to be a little faster. So then when they bring them into maybe the Rolex series,
Hmm.
if you could run the DP or the DTM car, and the DTM car is a little faster, which one are you going to want to run?
Right. Right.
So they'll slowly fade the DPs out the background. I think DTM will become the new prototype, which would be, I think, outstanding if
Well,
it happens.
yeah. Well, I've seen the new Mercedes, I've seen the new Audi, and I've seen the new BMW. They're really gorgeous cars. And I have a source out in Japan with the Super GT series that Nissan already has on the chassis dyno a DTM spec car.
Yeah, I believe it too, because Super GT is supposedly going to go all DTM spec as well.
Hmm.
So
And
I think then you'll have Nissan, you'll have to have Toyota, then you'll have to have Honda.
Honda, exactly. And then, I can honestly see maybe 2014, 2015, all three series, United States and Europe and Asia, all running the same cars and having a world championship.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I don't know what the FIA will think about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it does with the WEC too.
Hmm.
I don't know why sports car racing is always like this. They've never seemed to get a good unified base on it. Maybe it's just because there's so many different types of cars and we want to see them all race. We like to race everything.
Hmm.
That's the only thing sports car lacks is a real cohesive group.
Right.
It makes the IndyCar ladder system look organized.
Well, there was that whole story back in the '80s when you did have a World Sports Car Championship, and it was getting, they claimed, as popular, if not more popular, in Formula One. And Bernie went to the FIA and said shut them down, and the FIA pretty much changed the rules and made it into an economy series and everything like that, and pretty much ended the series. So remains to be seen. It's a nasty business racing. It's a nasty business racing. Just be glad you're not in IndyCar. Brian Barnhart isn't calling your race.
Who would have thought Elio and Paul Tracy would find common ground over that?
Well, just ask Oriol Servia. He's got the Paul Tracy Award
Oh, did
from
he? I didn't see that part of it.
from New Hampshire. He won the
Oh,
race, but they
yeah.
take it away. So here you go. Everybody started sending him the Paul Tracy Award.
Now, the real question is how are they going to do without Danica? Who's going to be their press driver now?
The Danica was great at marketing Danica. I don't think she personally did anything to market IndyCar. Um, IndyCar's got a lot of other problems. They don't have any fans. Period. Uh, they can't get a race without messing it up. They offered $5 million to a winner for that Vegas race. Nobody took him up on the offer.
One person's taking him up now.
Yeah, but they changed the rules.
Yes, they did.
They changed the rules. It was supposed to be for somebody who didn't race Indy cars, and now they're bringing in the Indy 500 winner.
Yeah, new to IndyCar, no chance.
Yeah, and also it's not 5 million. Well, it's $5 million, but only if he wins, he gets 2.5 million, and some fan will get the other 2.5 million. So it's it's
So
hilarious.
are you trying to be one of the fan?
No, I can't. I can't. You're not allowed to. You know that.
Journalistic integrity? Come on,
No,
that's no.
no, because if you get credentials, you can't do any of their contests.
Oh, I need to apply to be the fan. I were Dan Weldon on.
Yeah, there you go. And he's actually got a chance of winning that thing. Um, but yeah, I know. I'm sure you hear all the stories about IndyCar and all that stuff, and they come out with a brand new car for next year, and it's going to be with all different aero packages. And guess what? It's going to be a spec series again, and they just can't get anything right. So it remains to be seen.
Yeah, and now that maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe having F1 here in the U.S. So again, it didn't really help IndyCar out last time, did it? But maybe it'll
Well,
make it a little bit more fan friendly.
I don't see how it can help IndyCar because people will watch F1 and go, "Why am I going to watch a lesser series?"
Yeah. Well, because nobody wants to wake up at 6 a.m. in the U.S. or remember to set their DVRs.
Yeah. So, when they did, interesting story. When they did a few times this year, they put some on Fox in the
Yeah.
afternoon, tape delayed. Their ratings beat IndyCar for that day.
Not surprised. Continental's ratings tend to beat IndyCar.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That
it's looking rough.
that's not good. So okay, before we end this, come on, give us some other little juicy tidbit. Come on, what's coming up here in the future, Josh Hurley?
Oof. That's the thing. Nothing's signed yet. It's all close. It's
Uh,
all close, close, close.
close, close, close. This silly
But
season.
it's close, close, close with multiple people, so I can't even give a lead. Because that's what you gotta do. You gotta get it. You gotta get all the plates and take a nibble, and whichever one you like the best is the one you gotta keep. It's
Well, you got to you got to generate those rumors too to make it seem like you're more desirable. You're the guy they have to get. Talk about that IndyCar deal that you're talking with Penske. Talk about how Luca gave you a phone call at 3 in the morning from Italy.
well, right now it's gonna be. I think I'm gonna be leading somebody's assaulting Continental for sure next year, and hopefully it looks like at least a Rolex Endurance deal. Maybe get to go to Indy, do some things like that. So there's a bunch of different teams, and they all know I'm talking to each other. So that's the key thing, and they're all different manufacturers, so that'll make it interesting.
I,
So it's getting down to crunch time and silly season, but I'm having to be like Carl Edwards. I'm staying out of it. Everyone else just talk about it for me.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I've been getting the calls from Ferrari, from McLaren, from Mercedes. They're all asking me about you, man. Come on. We
Well,
gotta.
that's the car. Actually, the McLaren's the car I want to see here in the U.S. Someone's going to bring that new GT3 car they have. If you haven't seen it, really cool car. Really pushes the edge of that GT3 rule book, but
Mm.
it's the only carbon fiber monocoque GT car out there. But really cool car.
Yeah.
Zach Brown just bought two of them, so we might get to see him in a few years.
Well, I saw the street version already, and I was with the carbon fiber. I go, wow. I was just thinking, any exotic car, the insurance is going to be ridiculous, but on that car, even the minor fender bender is like you got to toss the car. It's
Yeah,
irreplaceable. You
it's
can't
incredible.
you can't fix a carbon fiber chassis.
Actually, there's a juicy tidbit for you. Not sure. Nissan came out in a very big way in Continental Tire. Not, for those of you out there who play some video games, they had their Gran Turismo champion racing Continental Tire this weekend.
Hmm.
Kind of like they have the guy who's doing it at Le Mans.
Right. I heard
This
about
is
it.
the guy behind him on the ladder. On top of it, Nissan brought a lot of brass out there. They had a bunch of demonstration cars. They had their Leaf all-electric race car.
Hmm.
And there is a GT3 Nissan Skyline just starting to run in Europe. David Brabham's testing it, Richard Westbrook.
Ah.
And they have already started talking about, well, Audi's bringing their GT3 into Rolex, so is Ferrari. Nissan's supposedly wondering what it would take to bring theirs into Rolex.
Oh, just a check.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And
all.
right now, Nismo is definitely affiliated with that Continental Tire team. There's some big stuff going on there. So I think you're going to see Nissan Motorsports back in the U.S. again. Unfortunately, they're not bringing back that old blue, white, and red livery, but
Oh well, it's still good to see another manufacturer in racing back here in the States.
yeah, exactly.
All right, Josh, I want to thank you for Oversteer TV. As usual, the short little interview turns into a long thing because you got all the scoop, you got all the dirt. I got to get you back on the show. I know you moved to Gainesville, but come on. We got Skype. We can do this now.
Exactly. Now I got a laptop with an actual webcam, so I can even do it when I'm gone now.
And aren't you an IT guy and you just finally got a webcam?
I'm cheap. I am the cheapest driver in motorsports, so
Hey, I use my laptop for these interviews. I just bought a webcam, $30. Come on.
uh, my old laptop died, so a new one was thrust upon me, and I made sure I had one in this time.
There you go. There you go. I forgive you this time. All right, Josh Hurley, driver for APR, Race Watches, Fortis, and Perfect Pedal. Audi Continental Tire Series, future Audi R8 driver next year.
World Challenge next weekend.
Next weekend. We'll be up there. We'll talk to you up there. We'll be rooting you on. All right?
You should come by. We have a nice, huge new setup at APR. The tent is the biggest tent I've ever seen, so make sure you come on by.
Is it catered?
It is.
Then it's covered.
All right.
All right, Josh. You take care.
All right, take care.